This wall's been building in your mind, but you'll find
Folks, you're back. You've come back for more. That's right. The world is asking for the greatest, newest professional wrestling podcast on the planet today. That's right. This is the Pro Slam World Podcast with Larry Mormon, and I'm here to bring you all things professional wrestling. And that, my friends, that is an introduction. Thank you very much. Folks, if you enjoy the road to WrestleMania, my favorite time of the year, I mean, we're out of it right now, but my favorite time of year, next to Christmas, is the road to WrestleMania. But just as the road to WrestleMania leads to a tremendous night of action, so does right now the road we're on, because with the Pro Slam World Podcast, you're on the road to the return of Pro Wrestling Syndicate. That's right, Saturday night, September 30th, PWS returns with Refuse to Lose 2017 at the Metuchen Sportsplex. I'm never going to be able to pronounce, I think that's the wrong pronunciation for Metuchen. Maybe it. Metuchen, New Jersey. I apologize, New Jersey. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. But bottom line, it's going to be at the Metuchen Sportsplex in Metuchen, New Jersey. Tickets are only $20, people. $20. Get them while you can at ProWrestlingSyndicate.com. A huge dream main event. Sabu, the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying man from Bombay, India. Sabu will go one-on-one with the mastodon, the man they call Vader. Big Van Vader and Sabu steps into the ring one-on-one. Folks, $20. Trust me, a match like this worth way more than $20. And you're going to see others. Nick Gage, New Jack, MVP, Teddy Hart. Just to name a few. The Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez, Brittany Savage, amongst other tremendous professional wrestlers. Saturday night, September 30th. I'll be there, and I hope to see you there as well. So check it out, ProWrestlingSyndicate.com. Refuse to lose. And that's action coming up a couple months from now. This show drops every Friday, and I hope you click that subscribe button on iTunes so that way you automatically get the new episode downloaded. Well, not downloaded, but available. You can download it if you want. Take it wherever you want to go. Every Friday, this show drops. And this Saturday, so depending on when you listen, but Saturday, May 27th, House of Glory Wrestling presents Adrenaline. And that will be live from the New York City Arena in Queens, New York. 8 p.m. Tickets start at $20. Get your tickets at hogwrestling.net. Card subject to change. Just to name 4 tremendous matches that will be happening Saturday night, May 27th at House of Glory Wrestling. In a big 6-man tag team attraction, The Trust, Evander James, Smooth Blackman, and Chris Seaton will take on the returning Brian XL and 2 mystery partners that Brian XL will bring with him. Who will he choose? And how much of an impact will that have on this 6-man tag team match? 4 big title matches in 3 matches. What? Let me try that again. 4 titles are on the line in 3 matches. And here is how that works. First of all, champion versus champion, title versus title. The House of Glory Crown Jewel Champion, Ken Broadway, will go one-on-one with the Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Lio Rush. Both titles are on the line. One man could possibly walk out. The House of Glory Crown Jewel Champion and the Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Ken Broadway, Lio Rush, one-on-one, May 27th. Adrenaline. The House of Glory tag team titles are on the line. This match, this is one of the matches I would be looking forward to big time. Reigning, defending House of Glory tag team champions EYFBO will take on, in my opinion, one of the greatest tag teams in the modern era. And I'm not being solicited to say that. This is my opinion. Everything I say on this show is my opinion. And the challengers for the House of Glory tag team titles Saturday night, May 27th, is the returning reDRagon. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, reunite once again. reDRagon, former 3-time Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, former multiple-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. That's together. On their own, Bobby Fish just recently, Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Kyle O'Reilly winning the big one, the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. But they team up again. reDRagon returns, House of Glory tag team titles, as they try and take them from EYFBO. And in a huge match. Folks, I don't care what organization you watch, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, House of Glory, WWE, Evolve, New Japan, the biggest match of the night is always for the company's heavyweight championship. And the House of Glory heavyweight title will be on the line as the House of Glory heavyweight champion, the reigning and defending champion, Anthony Gangone, will go one-on-one with the American Nightmare, Cody. That's right, Cody has a shot to take away the House of Glory heavyweight championship and bring it to the Bullet Club. That's going to be interesting. Of course, also making an appearance, WWE Hall of Famer and current WWE Raw announcer, Booker T. Matt Travis, Sonya Strong, and many others will appear. Again, folks, House of Glory Wrestling, Saturday night, May 27th, the New York City Arena in Queens, New York. Meet and greet 6 p.m., bell time 8 p.m., tickets start at $20, HOGWrestling.net. I'm telling you, man, look at this card for House of Glory. I mean, reDRagon, right? Lio Rush, and this does not mean anything bad on anyone else on the card, but for casual wrestling fans, for those of you out there who may know the big names, reDRagon, huge tag team. Lio Rush, he's been on fire in Ring of Honor. He moved over to Combat Zone Wrestling, won the CZW Heavyweight Championship. He'll be defending it that night. The American Nightmare, Cody. You know him as Cody Rhodes, Stardust. Big names, big title matches, big card. House of Glory, man. House of Glory, Pro Wrestling Syndicate, Evolve. I say it each and every week, and I'm going to say it again each and every week. Support independent wrestling. Independent wrestling is anything other than WWE, Ring of Honor, or Impact Wrestling. And if it's not for independent wrestling, you're not going to get top name guys in WWE, in Ring of Honor, or in Impact Wrestling. So, HOGWrestling.net. Get your tickets for Adrenaline for tomorrow night, May 27th. Get your tickets for Pro Wrestling Syndicate, Refuse to Lose, Saturday night, September 30th, in New Jersey. I mean, the East Coast is popping with professional wrestling. And, my buddy of mine, I do let's do a little cross-promotion, shall we? I do a podcast called The Retro Gamers. Hopefully, you go check it out. It's all things retro gaming, Nintendo, Genesis, Atari. And a buddy of mine, my co-host on that show, Anthony, he is out on the West Coast. And I've been out there a couple of times for SummerSlam. So I have been out there for wrestling. But, since I've been out there in a couple of years, actually. I just haven't had a chance to. Since doing this podcast and since getting back into independent wrestling, I mean, the caliber of shows that are out on the West Coast, Wrestling from Hollywood, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is the hottest thing out there going today. New Japan. I don't know if I talked about this last week. I don't remember if I did, but if I did, I'm talking about it again. If I didn't, this is the first time I'm mentioning it. New Japan Pro Wrestling is actually making their first ever G1 special tour in the United States. That's going to be in Long Beach, California. And not only are all titles on the line, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, I believe both IWGP Heavyweight and Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. I don't know. I don't remember if I saw the Junior Heavyweight title on the line, but I'm sure it should be up for grabs. But the biggest news for New Japan, and that was announced. This was announced at Ring of Honor's pay-per-view War of the Worlds a couple weeks ago. But for the first time ever in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling, they are introducing the IWGP United States Championship. And in a 2-night round-robin tournament that will take place early July in Long Beach, they will crown the first ever IWGP United States champion. Now, I hope what this means is that New Japan, on their own, I mean, they come over a lot with Ring of Honor, is cool, but to have a New Japan run show, I would love to go to a New Japan show, let alone Japan, but since I don't have enough money to get there, I would love to see him come to New York, because I'm in New York, I'm on Long Island, but just see him, knowing that they're in the U.S. and they're getting their feet wet with a U.S. audience who is going to love them. That show is going to do tremendous. Those tickets for the G1 special, I mean, they sold like hotcakes. They were minutes. In minutes, they were gone. But if they can make their way to the East Coast, oh, that'd be sweet. There's so many arenas out here. And I'm not even talking MSG or Nassau Coliseum or the Prudential Center. You know, they can do the smaller shows. They can do the outside venues. Ring of Honor, the last 3 years, has done Field of Honor at MCU Park in Coney Island. It's where Single A Brooklyn Cyclones play. Single A baseball team for the Mets. You know, they don't need that. They can sell out Madison Square Garden. They can certainly sell out the Nassau Coliseum. But, you know, if you ever watch, and it happens with NXT as well, it seems that the smaller venues and the smaller crowd lends to a more intimate and a livelier atmosphere for wrestling. You know, when NXT is at Full Sail, you know, every Wednesday, those shows, I mean, they're loud. They are, you can tell that they're fans, they're wrestling fans, because they pop when they need to pop and they boo when they need to boo. Takeovers are in the bigger arenas, that's fine. 4 or 5 times a year, they still get huge pops. But like this past Wednesday, because Takeover was in Chicago at the Allstate Arena, NXT taped their show, probably 2 weeks worth, I'm assuming, in the Allstate. So NXT on Wednesday looked like 205 Live, looked like Main Event. It takes a little bit away. Not enough where it's going to be unwatchable, but it takes a little bit away. But when it's in Full Sail, Ring of Honor, when it was in the Hammerstein Ballroom, when it's at Coney Island, Impact Wrestling was at the Manhattan Center, where Raw, the first episodes of Raw used to be. TNA was there. That was a small venue. Evolve. I went to a club called La Boom in Queens for an Evolve show. I mean, there had to have been hundreds, not even thousands, high hundreds. But the crowd was into it. The crowd was lively. And when you get these larger venues for regular shows, I'm not talking WrestleMania, because you get a show like WrestleMania, you get a show like SummerSlam, wrestling fans are going to travel. So they're paying their money, and they're going to head to where the show is. But when we're talking about a regular Raw, a regular SmackDown, a no-name pay-per-view, then you're going to get the casual fans, the families coming out, which is fine, but you don't get that same atmosphere. You don't get that same liveliness, that same camaraderie as much as you would get at a WrestleMania, at a SummerSlam, or at a smaller venue. And especially with promotions that aren't WWE. General family, they know WWE. Their kid watches wrestling. Let's bring them to a WWE show. They know it's safe. Not always independent wrestling is safe, meaning it's not necessarily family friendly. Combat Zone Wrestling is based on ultra violence. I have seen some wacky stuff out of Combat Zone Wrestling. They have a tournament of death every year. That's not, I see kids in the group, in the audience, but it's not for kids, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But still, go out there, support it, enjoy it, especially with these two shows coming up for Pro Wrestling Syndicate and House of Glory. And enjoy next time you're at a show that's a small venue, take a moment and just look around and just see how everyone interacts with each other and see and feel the crowd reaction compared to a regular Raw, regular SmackDown, or a regular pay-per-view. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to feel the difference. Hopefully, one day I'll get out to LA. I think they're in LA. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. That is a venue I want to experience. That is a show I want to experience. I would love to go to the Tokyo Dome one day for Wrestle Kingdom. That's New Japan Pro Wrestling's their WrestleMania. That, for some reason, they hold on January 4th every year, no matter what day of the week it is, which that's a little annoying on my part because I can't always watch it live. But I'd love to go to that. Love to go to that arena. There's a lot I still definitely want to check out. And let me know what you want to check out. Let me know if you've been to any of these venues, any of these arenas. If you've been to a small show, your thoughts on a small show, a small crowd versus a large crowd. Couple hundred people versus over 100,000 at AT&T Stadium. Go to the Pro Slam World Facebook page. Comment on the Pro Slam World YouTube page. Those links will be in the descriptions here. Let me know your thoughts. Small crowd, large crowd. What do you think is better? What do you think is worse? What do you think you prefer? And just maybe I'll answer your comment on a future episode of Pro Slam World. So in a couple weeks' time, I'm going to be going to a wrestling convention and out in Jersey. A lot of stuff's happening out in Jersey. It is called Legends of the Ring Pro Wrestling Fan Fest to the Crowne Plaza Hotel in Monroe, New Jersey. June 10th is when it is. So a buddy of mine actually told me about it. I didn't even realize it was happening. So got a lot of big names going to be there. Edge, I've definitely looked to get his autograph. Jack Swagger, Beth Phoenix, Alberto El Patron, Rockin' Robin. There you go. Jerry Lawler, Ronnie Garvin, just to name a few. Jim Cornette, Brooke Adams, Lil Guido, Bully Ray. Actually, you know what? This list has grown. Wait a minute. This list wasn't this big last time I checked. Wow. Holy cow. The Kingdom's going to be there. Corey Graves. This is pretty sweet. The reason why I'm saying that is because I didn't go to this year's WrestleMania. Not for anything bad, just I had bought Islander tickets, so I can only do so much. But I missed out. Besides Mania, of course, I missed out on on Access. I could not get that out on Access because it's just so much fun to meet these wrestlers and to go to. And I don't think I've ever, other than Access, which is all obviously WWE, I've never actually been to an independent fan fest. So this Legends of the Ring, I'm looking forward to it. I know they have the big event in New York, which I've never actually been to. I got to get to that one day. I've done meet and greets before shows, of course, before Impact Wrestling. before Ring of Honor. A lot of wrestlers go to Comic-Cons. New York Comic-Con. I've gotten a few autographs from New York Comic-Con. And definitely, on the Pro Slam World Facebook page, I'd love to hear your stories of meeting wrestlers. Hopefully all good stories. Any memories of getting autographs? Because I've gotten... Through the years, I've definitely gotten my fair share of autographs. And a lot of them have been from Comic-Cons. Not only the big one, when I say the big one, I mean out here on the East Coast, New York Comic-Con. Also in, here we go, New Jersey, a convention called Chiller Theater. Happens every April and October. Gotten a lot of autographs from there. Actually from Chiller, I've gotten like Jake the Snake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat, The Genius, Hornswoggle, China, just 6 months before she passed away. And, I have a couple of, if you know me, not just wrestling, but if you know me, you know that when I go to these conventions, I'm not going to call it a fight, but I would say small, non-physical altercations tend to happen with me and celebrities when I go to these shows. I don't know why. I don't look out for it. I'm not trying to make it happen, but it happens. And one day, maybe I'll tell you guys, I've had some issues with Will Wheaton, William Shatner. You know what? That part, I can trail off on that for a whole nother episode. But for this, the couple of wrestlers I've met in person, and a couple of the stories that I have, New York Comic-Con a couple years ago, and doors just opened. Now, New York Comic-Con is at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City. And if you don't know what the Jacob Javits Center is, it's a giant convention hall. Before I started going for Comic-Con, the one time I've ever been there was for the Nintendo Power Fest back in 1990. So Comic-Con doors open, and I knew some wrestlers was going to be there. So I kind of go in and I figured I'll get to those tables first. And the first one was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So I'm like, sweet, no line, go right there. He's still setting up, so I kind of waited a little bit. And finally he's like, hey, how you doing? And as my go-to, every time I meet someone, especially at a Comic-Con, my go-to is always, hey, how you doing? I'm a huge fan. Which I am, but it's always the same words that come out of my mouth. So she's like, oh, nice, excellent. So I'm looking at the table, and when you go to these conventions, wrestling, Comic-Con, whatever, they always have 8x10s on the table. So I'm looking at the 8x10s, and his Hacksaw Jim Duggan's manager or partner for the day, helping him out, he goes, what would you like to get signed? So I'm like, this photo. It's a standard photo, Duggan with the 2x4 and the American flag behind him. And this guy goes, well, would you like to get a 2x4 signed? I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know how I missed them. On the exact same table. You got the 8x10s right in front of you, and right next to the 8x10s, I wasn't paying attention, a stack of 2x4s. Only, maybe like a foot long, foot and a half long, but a stack of 2x4s. I was like, whoa, how much? Because, you get one price for the 8x10, usually you get something else, it's another price. And the guy said, same price as the photos, which I'm sure probably changed later on that day. But, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I was like, are you kidding me? An 8x10 signed by Hacksaw Jim Duggan? I'm in. Long story short, as I stare at it right now, to Larry, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, ho, on the 2x4. Now, that was about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. The bag that I brought with me would not fit the 2x4. The bag was just slightly smaller than this 2x4. So now, for a probably the 5 hours that I'm walking around New York Comic Con, I have to carry, I got probably already 2 or 3 bags with me, on top of other bags from buying stuff throughout the day. Now I got to lug around this 2x4. I mean, if I knew I was going to get the 2x4 autographed, I would have waited till the end of the day. Oh, that was such a hump. The bag was literally just a tad too small to put this 2x4 in. Oh man, that was annoying. Another time, again, New York Comic Con. Well, I got to preface this. Let's go back first to Access in Georgia, Atlanta, WrestleMania Atlanta. So we're online, me and my father, waiting to get autographs of Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. And it was late. It was the last session of Access, so it was late at night. But they never closed the line. They kept letting people on the line. Like, all right, cool. Figure they'll close the line eventually. Doors closed at 10 p.m. It was like 9:30. We were probably like 20 minutes with the way the line was moving. Still had about 20 minutes to go. But they were still letting people on, which was kind of odd. Then we're like 10 people away from finally getting our autographs and then going back to the hotel. That's when a lady comes over and says, "Oh, line's closed, everyone. Have a good night." And we're like, what? We waited maybe at that point a half hour, possibly 45 minutes. And they're just like, "Nope, sorry, line's closed. So this person, everyone else, have a good night." And we're like, what are you talking about? You never shut the line off. Like, you never capped the line. And you never told us that there's no guarantee that you would get an autograph. If we were getting on the line and someone said, or there was a sign saying, all right, after this time, no guarantee for an autograph, we'll take our chance. Someone told us, no guarantee for an autograph, we'll take our chance. If they stopped the line so people would stop getting on it, thinking they can get an autograph, even better. So what happens is, and people were grumbling, moaning. Some people ended up just leaving. Some people tried, just not yelling and screaming, but everyone was upset. And my father, who's big guy, strong guy, loud as can be, good, because he raised me, and I'm just as good as anyone ever will be. And I knew he was serious because he didn't utter one curse word. So he, as loud as he is, pretty much in a nutshell, is saying, look, we all flew here from other parts of the country, other parts of the world to get an autograph. You never tell us there's no guarantee. You never close the line. And you expect us to just leave? We spend our hard-earned money to you. And this wasn't directed to JR or Jerry Lawler. It was more directed to the people running Access, which I think is run independently from WWE. We spend our hard-earned money and get nothing for it. And I remember while my dad was doing this, Jerry Lawler kind of looks up from the table, probably expecting a fight to break out. And this woman's trying to say, like, "No, sir, sorry, too bad, line's closed," which, if you know my father, that's not happening. And then finally, Jerry Lawler goes, "Okay, folks, don't worry," because they were like on a little bit of a platform. "We'll come down to you and we will sign everyone's autograph." So that's that story. And that long-winded road gets me to this. A couple years later, New York Comic Con, Jerry Lawler's there. Now, this was probably a year after Hurricane Sandy, so I lost a lot of my autographs in the hurricane. So I figure I'll get another one of Jerry Lawler. So I go up to him and I go, "Jerry Lawler, big fan." And I go, "A couple of years ago, do you remember Access? It was an autograph signing. Started to close the line, and then someone started getting loud." And he goes, "I kind of remember it, but I remember someone, being upset, yelling that the line was going to be closed. Then we walked down and we signed everyone's autograph who was still waiting online." And that's when I went, "Yep, that was me and my dad." And he looked at me like, "What?" Like it was a small world. It was pretty cool. He definitely remembered. It was funny. He to know a couple years later, he remembers that moment, because that was that was a wild moment. Not wild bad, just wild in the sense of that we kind of ended up getting what we deserved, which was autographs. So it was pretty funny how he was like, yeah, I remember that. And there was another. Oh, this one. Holy cow. Okay, so one more, and then we'll start to wrap it up for this week. Chiller Theater. Last year, probably. Leaping Lanny Poffo, the genius. The brother of Macho Man Randy Savage. So this was shortly after... Yeah, this was shortly after Savage going into the Hall of Fame, because the genius inducted him. So I go, get the order, pay for the autograph. Shocking. I go, hey, big fan. So we start talking a little bit. And then he had Macho Man's ring, his Hall of Fame ring. So I'm like, oh, cool. So he goes, hey, check this thing out. And, he shows me the ring. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And then he just goes, here you go, take it. What? I'm sorry? Go ahead, take the ring. So he hands me the ring. So now I have in my hand the actual Hall of Fame ring for the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Now, take 2 seconds, and if you expand that to like what felt like 5 minutes, I could have easily... First of all, I have to figure out whether he's actually giving me the ring or he's just letting me hold it. Then I'm like, well, it's a clear shot to the door, but I didn't drive here. I mean, like, I honestly didn't know what he wanted me to do with the ring. I thought he was giving it to me. And I would have almost been like, thank you, put it in my pocket, and walk away. But I couldn't. So I looked, it's a heavy ring too, man. That's a legit ring, very heavy. Gave it back to him. I said, that is awesome. I should have taken a picture with it, kind of holding it or something. I don't know why I didn't. Because I was freaking out why Leaping Lanny Poffo was giving me his brother's Hall of Fame ring. So that was another good one. And I enjoy meeting these superstars. I feel like hopefully they enjoy meeting us. I think they do. Oh, that's right. One more, and then we'll end it. This was the best. Last year, New York Comic-Con, actually leaving the Javits Center. So I'm like 2 blocks up in New York City. Me and a buddy of mine. So we're just talking. We're going to head to a restaurant, a diner. And I look over, and at the corner is me, my buddy, another gentleman, and Christian from Edge and Christian. So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, Christian? Kind of like low-key. When I see... a couple of times I've seen wrestlers in the wild. I even did this with David Flair, actually. I saw him after an Access with his family. I was far away. We kind of lock eyes, and I kind of like mouth to him, like, David Flair? I did the same thing with Christian. I'm like, Christian? And they kind of like nod, but not like in a way like, yeah, it's me. Can you do me a favor? I don't want to be mobbed. Can you not kind of scream my name? Which I wouldn't have anyway. So with Christian, I was like, oh, big fan. Shocking. So, and I asked him, and this is on the street corner of New York City. No one else was really around us. And I go, hey, is it cool if I take a picture? And that's when on Christian's face kind of just went like, hey, how you doing? To almost, if I could read his mind, he was definitely saying, please, no, all I want to do is go get something to eat. I've been signing all day. I don't want to be stuck on this corner taking photos with people. And I understood that, and I totally respected that. And when I saw that look in his eye, because he really kind of didn't respond, I went, Christian, absolutely not a problem. If the picture is a no, I completely understand. I'm just happy enough to meet you. Have a good day. And then I think as I was walking away, he probably figured I'd go and blast him on Twitter, which I would not have done. Would not have done whatsoever. Completely respect if he didn't want his picture taken in public. But he was cool enough. He was like, okay. And, his buddy takes the picture, and maybe I'll post it when this podcast hits. I'm there smiling, and Christian, nothing bad. This is not a knock to him, but he just, the look on his face was like, This is the last thing I want to do right now is take a picture on a street corner in New York City. But I got the photo. I guess that's what counts, right? So, yeah, check it out in the comments if you're watching or listening to this on YouTube or at the Facebook page, both for Pro Slam World. Let me know your encounters with professional wrestlers, Comic-Cons, in the wild, out on the streets. You got any funny stories about meeting someone? Definitely post it. Would love to read about it and talk about it again at a future episode. But for now, we're going to start to wrap things up. Don't forget, House of Glory Wrestling tomorrow night in Queens, HOGWrestling.net. Don't forget, Pro Slam World Refuse to Lose 2017 Sabu versus Vader, September 30th in New Jersey. Tickets are on sale, ProWrestlingSyndicate.com. And, of course, you can follow me pretty much everywhere at More365, MOHR365, and follow Pro Slam World on YouTube, on Facebook. And as always, hit that subscribe button, hit the share button, let other people know about the podcast. And I'm going to catch you next week for some more Pro Slam World. Catch you guys later.